Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, bringing
Woo-hoo!
freedom to potential. That's right, our dear friend, who's also a coach and pilot, author, movie star, you, David, coaching for relevance. How do you introduce someone with so many titles? I'm just going to say, my friend. How can I say it? Randy, Swaim, welcome to the show. Hey.
And I'll tell you what, welcome. And you know what? You're my friend. And I'll tell you what, I'll welcome that. No two ways about it. So, yeah, great to see you again.
Oh, thank you so much, sweetheart. For those that don't know, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, you mentioned several things, but my background has been in mostly in aviation. In fact, it
Yeah.
still is because I'm still training and certifying jet pilots and things of that nature, and instructors and stuff. But as you kind of implied, I'm also a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach. I'm also a master level neuroplastician with the Institute for Organizational Neuroscience, and and I do all that to just bring what I bring to pilots, but also everybody that that I connect with when it's important, and things like that, because those are aspects that a lot of people don't fully understand, and yet they're very important.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. And in our new year conversation, what do we have in mind? How are we improving ourselves? How are we talking about leadership? Let's figure this out.
Well, I tell you what I thought, what I was going to plan to do today is, it sounds a little bit crazy, but it's going to be focused, totally on sort of strategic vision and strategic planning and things of that nature, not covering every single bit of it, but a couple of aspects of it. And what I will share is that I actually went over to the local high school. As you know, one of the things that I do is I bring sort of rising stars aspect of it, and I partnered together with a chemistry teacher over at the high school, for about the last 15 years, and a good friend and all that kind of stuff. But with what we talked about today, it was very enlightened in terms of what you sort of talked about to teams and everything, and some sort of vision. And what we talked about is their vision and everything, when they go forward. And so we can uh, mention a couple of aspects about that, and bring a little bit about it, because it's one thing that a lot of people in society, if you look at people that are sort of, and I don't want to use a term totally bad, but narcissistic, sort of self-interested and just
Mm-hmm.
control freaks, and that's their definition of leading people. They don't understand how that's dysfunctional, and it's not going to get you what you need to do. So I'll bring this a little bit and just make some applications to it from in the business and leadership environment that sometimes people sort of have to think about and everything.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. We're excited that you're back here with us today. An insight for the new year. How is your movie going? Let me just start with that, if you don't mind. How is the screenings going? What's happening with that? And for those that don't know, tell us where we could find it, as well as your book.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate on that. Well, the movie has only been available to the public for about the last probably 3 weeks. And so they're still in the process of doing it. I will say this, that you can go on the YouTube platform and get it. The title of the movie is the same as the book, which is Bring Freedom to Potential. And it's but it's on YouTube. It's also on Google Play, and it's actually on Amazon Prime. Although it's my understanding that the AEMG folks and Amazon are just kind of smoothing out some of the some of the specific aspects, not of the movie, but just kind of the legal aspects of having it there and all that kind of stuff. And so that'll probably be on Amazon Prime in the not too distant future. And but it is out there for people that can go get it. And for the autobiography, it's actually on Amazon right now, so people can go on Amazon and look and Google, Bring Freedom to Potential as my autobiography, and come up and purchase it as well. So it's and the people that have read the book have been sort of amazed and stuff. And I've had one lady that watched the movie, kind of thing, and the comments that she made were just amazing in positive ways. And she just the value that she said she got out of it, it was um, I was humbled but highly honored by what she said and everything. So it's my story is a big story, I think, that brings insights to other people that maybe didn't think about certain things and things of that nature. So it's out there and it's available for people that would like to get it, and that'd be great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Randy. So where is your how do I say this? Your wiseness. Tell us what you're going to talk about today because you are a man with many stories with
Yeah.
but backed up proof. I mean, you've been doing this for so long, helping and guiding people in aviation and then obviously with coaching in all different fields. So where did you want to share with us?
What I thought I would do today is share a little bit about kind of what we brought to the high school students, the rising stars, kind of thing, in terms of their vision and all that, because the focus of it was vision. But you know what? I'll also bring it as a thing that is beneficial to leading your team, particularly in organizational maneuverability concept where not everything is just rote academic. And I'll kind of mention a couple of points on that and bring just a few thoughts on that to think about when you're leading your team, particularly in an environment where it's just not all academic. And you know what? It isn't anymore. There are some academic aspects that come into play, but to just shut your brain off and go with it, it's like you probably don't want that. So I'll bring some of that after. I'll just mention it very shortly with the rising stars aspect of it of what we did, but then I'll bring a couple of the insights that are applicable to leading your team, and it's something that uh, people don't realize, and really a lot of people in today's world do not have a clear picture of vision. When you have, and I don't mean what your eyes see, but I mean what your brain sees, obviously, on the vision of where you're going, how are you leading your team, how's the team coming together, and where are you going, and what are you aware of, and things of that nature. The vision is very critical, and yet so many people in today's world don't really go with that. They just kind of come up with what, they in a short mindset, they just want to come up with what they want everybody to do and give to them and just do it. And if that's the only thing you're threatening, you're not getting the job done and you're not being a leader if you
Mm-hmm.
do that. And so it's just a key point in this. And what I'll do is I'll just take, since we make sure that we got time and everything, I'll just mention a very simple. It's probably just a couple of 3 minutes or something like that. But with talking to the high school class there, it was interesting because the whole focus was on vision, and the whole thing was that once you graduate, you got to have a vision of what you want to accomplish, what you want to be in life, what you want to become. What does your life look like, and things of that nature. And we kind of explored that, and
Mm-hmm.
and I had several sort of little exercises where they could get together and have conversations with maybe four of their fellow students and stuff, and get a sense of what how all this related. But you know what? It is very key that they seem to get some value out of it. And but when you look at that, because I had them write down, I had lists of questions that we could put on the board. And there was one time where I just had them kind of jotting down their senses, their thinking about those questions and what is bringing it up to them and everything. And they got some discussion going about that. And one of the things that I told them was, you know what, it was very critical because when you're coming up to graduate from high school, you've got to have vision on what you want, how you're going to get there, what's going to happen, and all of that kind of stuff. What are the things that you need to know about and everything? And I shared a little thing from my background. But you know what? When you're talking about leading your team in a professional business environment, one thing that is so, I hate to say it, but is so sort of narcissistic in a lot of ways, in societies and in, business things, is that managers have a sense that they think that their whole mindset is to simply, dictate to you, and you just do what I tell you to do, and da 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 da, and and leave it at that. And if that's what you're doing, guess what? There's probably some of the situational awareness that you weren't aware of or don't really aware of. And also, if you think about it from this standpoint, if you think about your team members that you're leading, you know what? You're, in a sense, you're shutting them down, and you're not truly letting them grow and become and achieve. And that's one of the things that I was getting across to the rising star students too, kind of thing. But it's very key. It's an aspect of leadership that a lot of people don't truly have a sense of, because a lot of people, the sort of dysfunctional aspect is, a lot of people think my job is to just tell everybody where we're going, and you just shut up and go do this and do it my way, do it the way I tell you to, and all that.
Yeah.
If that is all you're doing, you are not truly leading, you are not growing your team, you are not bringing synergy into your organization, you're not bringing true vision into your organization. And if you sit there and make it so that people create that vision, and they have that vision in their mind, and they have a real understanding of why that's important,
Yeah.
that can be huge. And you don't do that by just simply pointing fingers and telling people what to do and things of that nature. And so it's a key aspect that people kind of forget, from decades ago. A lot of people sort of just, that was leadership, just telling people what to do and stuff. But
Oh
you know
yeah.
what? It's not now. It's building your team. It's seeing and experiencing the oneness, the synergy, the success in your team that works for you, and and how you're really bringing out the best and the truly awareness in them. And that doesn't mean you're just telling them what to do and
Yeah.
telling them you have to do it this way. No, but their awareness and all that, and how you bring all of that out in your people, so that they are responding in their own, in the way that makes it go where you want. That is key, and that is something that's amazing. And I shared this, and I think it was a long time ago, so I don't even know if you remember it. But there was an example back when I was the site manager at Griffiths Air Force Base for our uh, company and stuff, for our aviation company. And the pilots were in there one day, and I shared this. You may remember it, I don't know, but the pilots were in there one day, and I was a site manager, so I was the boss, but I knew them. And as they were talking, everybody was in the operations area, and everybody was coming up with some ideas. But in my vision and
Hmm.
seeing where they're going, I said, yep, that's a good place. And so, you know what? I didn't get involved. I didn't say anything. I just let them talk. And it was amazing that one of the guys, after they ended up talking, one of the guys went over and sat down. He was going to make some notes, but he commended me, and he said, and then he looked at me, and all I did is I winked at him and I nodded my head. Why? Because I was leading them and creating them in such a way that they're going in a great direction. And but it's something that it's a little bit different than when you think that your whole thing, and a lot of times when you're talking about a situation where the boss and somebody is there, close together or something, doing something, a lot of times all the boss does is coming up with a little superficial, do this, do this, or
Yeah.
whatever. And if you're doing that, you're not getting the real job done, and you're not preparing your team for radical results. But if you have a short chat, and you both sense each other how you're thinking, and you see that that's aligned, there you go. You've built oneness and synergy in it. And so this aspect of strategic thinking and what I would say is strategic vision is everything. And most people don't have that. And I will tell you this, that if you one of the things I shared with the students was if all you're thinking what you want to do is in the first 6 weeks of your graduation, you're not getting there. What do you want to accomplish? What do you
Yeah.
want your life to be like? What do you want to become? What all that. And what kind of family do you want to have? What is your life going forward? And what is the vision of that in your mind? What are you looking for? And and that's just an example that a lot of people don't to get in the business world because they're just telling you what to do. Now, you don't necessarily have to go with that if they've already got
Yeah.
a family and married and have kids and all that kind of stuff, kind of thing. But it's a good picture where it's not just about you dictating and control freaking and pointing fingers and all that kind of stuff. It's about how are you truly connecting with your people in such a way that amazing results can happen because they catch a vision that nobody else had, or they catch a vision that is real good and brings it up to the team and they all go, oh, yeah, yeah, kind of thing. And it's just an aspect that when you're talking about the strategic aspects, if all you're doing, and as a manager or a leader, if all you're doing is playing rote, superficial academic aspects of it, and that's
Yeah.
it, you're not getting the job done. True leadership is deeper and bigger than that. And it's not just about stepping in and threatening and telling everybody what to do kind of thing. It's about building your people in such a way that
Yeah.
sometimes they come up with a solution that you initially kind of went, what? But then you went, oh, wow, yeah, kind of thing and stuff like that. So it's just something that it was a good picture as we were talking with the youth rising stars today. And they all had some positive aspects about getting a picture when they were writing notes to themselves. I said, you're not going to hand these in. This is just going to be you. That's it, kind of thing. And there were a couple of times when they asked questions, and I answered the
Yeah.
question in a good way, where where I got their mindset at least going in the right direction. And it was also sort of interesting because one of the things that we did, one of the last things that I did is I had them kind of put their hands like this
Aw.
and then look through it to look right at something that was in the classroom,
Yeah.
whatever they wanted to. And after that, I said, okay, you can put those down. And I said, now what I want you to do is to look at what you were looking at without doing
Yeah.
that. Look at what you were looking at without doing that. And as they were looking at it,
They were
I
like,
said, I said, what did you see as the difference? And they had some incredible differences in it about, one person mentioned that this was kind of distracting and, kind of inhibiting what they saw. I said, you know what? And all that can happen when you're trying to create your vision in your strategy and what you're trying to accomplish and stuff. And I said, so if you think about it and if you sense that, what are you going to do about it?
yeah.
And all that. And so there were some aspects about like that. But the bottom line is just what I wanted to bring to leaders today is what do you need to do differently? Because you know what? A lot of people out there need to do it a little bit differently. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you need to do differently to truly
Yeah.
connect with your people in such a way that they reach radical success because of how they're sort of thinking about it different and they're not just shutting their brains off to go with what one person told them to do or whatever, and nothing like that. And so it's just one aspect about how you can bring radical success to your team, to your organization, but also one of the first things that has to happen to make that occur is vision. Do you truly have realistic vision for your team and not just a superficial, oh, let's go do this. No, but a real vision of what you're trying to accomplish. And there's a lot of aspects to it. What your team experiences it as they do it, when they feel the success on it. What does your team truly experience, and how and why? And what does all that occur? And those are just some aspects that it's sort of a deeper aspect of leadership that a lot of times people don't think about, but it is an aspect of and like I said, with what we did today with the teacher and I, kind of thing, that was very, the students really, appreciated it. And but this is really true with leading your team as well, and if you do that in such a way where your team can't wait to be moving forward to that vision, to that, what we're going to be doing with that, and all of this kind of stuff, all that can be magical in what you're trying to accomplish together. And so just something to think about. Just it's a little bit deeper. It's not just rote academic, but it's true understanding. And in the neuroscience aspect of how your brain processes it, to have absolute clarity on how you are truly processing your vision, but also how you're going to get there.
Got
and
it.
and all that. So in this strategic aspect, that is just a huge critical importance that I'll just throw out there for people to think about and give some thought to.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, we still got 4 more minutes left in the show, Randy. What else do you want to make sure we cover?
Well, I was just going to say that, and just, keep in mind that it's not just when on anything, when you're being a true leader, it's not just about being rote academic stuff where you just kind of give an answer that two people said this is the answer for it, kind of thing. Because guess what? When you talk about unexpected factors that can come on the scene, guess what? You have to be aware of how that might amend your strategy, how you're going to maybe amend that in order to achieve your vision and all of that. And all of this is just part of organizational maneuverability, the aspect of making it when it's just not overly simplistic and it's not just superficial. And when you're talking about leadership, you have to have this aspect of processing in your brain for your neuroscience. You have to be able to process the whys, the what for, what's this really about in this vision? What does that look like? How should I really get there, even if unexpected factors come on scene? What might I have to do in the mental processing of it? So it's not just rote academic. And a lot of people in today's world have a tendency to just kind of fit what some school taught them one time. And guess what? There are times when that doesn't work. And there are times when that's not overly effective. And so this is just sort of the organizational aspect, organizational maneuverability aspect of it. But being aware of the situation that is truly forming, and how are you really going to do it? How are you going to truly create the vision in you and your team and your company? But also, how are you truly, given the fact that the factors are sometimes different, a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging, whatever, how are you truly going to make the success happen where you can achieve that vision and become that vision, and going forward? Now,
Got
like
it.
I said, and so that's just something to think about. It's not just rote academic. It's not superficial. It's not just saying, well, here, we'll do this because that's whatever. Being aware of when things are changing, how might you have to adapt? And so it's just something to think about on that when you're talking about and leading your team, how are you really creating the awareness on that sometimes? Because guess what? Being aware of what is possible and what you might have to do is very often important, to just have a sense of that in your processing before you even start the journey to it. Because guess what? If something else comes on scene, maybe you had an insight in your mind that you know what to do. And
Gotcha.
so all of that is just part of that aspect when you talk about vision and the true vision, but also have clarity about your vision. Because a lot of people in today's world have a little superficial, surface thing. I want to do this. And but you know what? True vision is very often deeper than that.
Got it.
And what do you need to do with that? So it's just something to think about when you're talking about that. And it's just a couple of things that sometimes people have to think about.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Randy, as always. And if we want to reach out to you, let's do it. How do we do so?
And thank you. Yep. As you know, you can go to my website, coachingforrelevance.com. And on the main web page, if you go down to the bottom of the page, it has my cell phone and my email address on it. So anybody can reach out. I don't do automatic sales calls, but what I will say is that if somebody has a conversation and they have a need, yeah, we'll come up with something for me to help them out and stuff. But again, if somebody just wants to have a chat, they can go down there and call and leave a voicemail or send me an email, and that's good. That's the easy way to find it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You have a fantastic day. And hopefully, well, next week, oh my gosh, it's just the New Year's here. Can't wait to get into it. Warmer weather. But how is the weather in Dallas, by the way?
Right now, I mean, it's not snowing or anything like that. It's cool.
But
It's kind of cool, but it's not. I moved down here from Niagara Falls, New York,
yeah,
so it's not nearly as cold as it was up there. So
awesome. Enjoy the beautiful weather. We're waiting for it here. Have a great day, Randy. Thank you.
okay, then we'll see you again. Thank you, my friend.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.